Do-hyun Kim looked at his reflection in the mirror of his small apartment bathroom. His new dark blue uniform, with the Earth Medical Delegate badge, still felt strange to wear. He had been a paramedic for 15 years in Seoul, but today was different. Today, he would meet aliens for the first time. The morning news played in the background. The first interstellar medical conference begins today at the newly built Global Conference Center in Seoul. Medical professionals from 27 alien civilizations will attend. Do-hyun turned off the screen and checked his medical bag one last time. Inside were the same basic items he had carried for years: bandages, antiseptic wipes, epinephrine auto-injectors, and other simple first aid supplies. The conference organizers had told him to bring advanced medical equipment, but he trusted his basic kit. It had saved countless lives before. The drive to the conference center was quiet. The usually busy streets of Seoul were empty because the government had declared it a special holiday. As Do-hyun approached the massive glass building, he saw the strange shapes of alien ships hovering above it. They looked like giant silver droplets floating in the sky. At the entrance, a security guard checked his ID card 3 times. "Remember the rules," the guard said. "Don't touch any aliens without permission. Don't use any medical equipment near them without approval. Don't." "I know," Do-hyun said politely. He had memorized the 50-page rule book they had given him last week. Inside the building, Do-hyun's eyes widened. The main hall was filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in the air like jellyfish. Others walked on many legs like giant insects. A few looked almost human, except for their colored skin: blue, green, and purple. "First time seeing aliens?" asked a friendly voice. Do-hyun turned to see a woman in a similar uniform. The name tag on her chest read Dr. My-sun Park, Earth Medical Team. "Yes," Do-hyun admitted. "I'm just a paramedic. I don't know why they chose me for this conference." My-sun smiled. "Because you're one of the best emergency responders in Asia. Your record speaks for itself. 312 successful emergency responses last year alone." Do-hyun wanted to say more, but suddenly all the aliens in the room moved to the sides, creating a wide path to the main stage. The floating screens around the hall lit up with strange symbols. "The Queen is coming," My-sun whispered. "Queen Hae-nul of the Stellar Empire. Their civilization is thousands of years ahead of ours in medical technology. They can cure diseases we haven't even discovered yet." Through the main doors came a group of tall, elegant beings. Their skin shimmered like pearls, and they moved with unusual grace. In the middle walked someone who could only be the queen. She wore no crown, but her presence made everyone in the room stand straighter. Do-hyun watched with interest. Despite their advanced technology, he noticed that the queen's guards carried what looked like medical bags, not very different from his own. He wondered what was inside them. As the queen passed near him, she turned her head slightly, and their eyes met for a brief moment. Her eyes were like swirling galaxies, beautiful and mysterious. Do-hyun bowed respectfully, following the protocol they had taught him. What he didn't know then was that this brief moment would soon become the beginning of something much bigger. In less than an hour, his simple medical kit and basic human first aid knowledge would be the only thing standing between the queen and death. But for now, he just stood there, a human paramedic among the stars, watching as the most advanced beings in the galaxy prepared to share their medical knowledge with Earth. The conference hall buzzed with excitement as Queen Hae-nul took her place on the stage. Her pearl-like skin glowed under the soft lights, and her flowing silver dress moved like water with each step. Do-hyun stood near the back of the room, watching with the other Earth delegates. "We come today to share knowledge," the queen began. Her voice was clear and musical, automatically translated through the special devices everyone wore in their ears. "The Stellar Empire believes that medical knowledge should be shared across all." She stopped suddenly. Her hand went to her throat, and her galaxy-like eyes widened with surprise. The crowd watched as she took a shaky step backward. "Something is wrong," My son whispered beside Do-hyun. Look at her skin. The queen's pearl-white skin was turning a dark blue color. She tried to speak again, but no words came out. Her personal doctor, a tall being named Yuna, rushed to her side with strange medical devices floating around her like a swarm of metallic insects. The equipment isn't working. Yuna's voice carried across the now silent hall. She waved her hands frantically, but the floating medical devices only sparked and buzzed. There's too much interference. Do-hyun's training kicked in as he watched the scene. The queen was showing all the signs of a severe allergic reaction. Difficulty breathing, skin color changes, and sudden onset. His hand automatically went to his medical bag. The head of security, Jae-ho, was now on stage 2. His crystalline armor glinted as he ordered everyone to stay back. Earth's atmosphere must be affecting Her Majesty differently than our tests showed, he said. We need to get her back to the ship. But the queen was already falling to her knees. The medical teams from various alien species rushed forward with their advanced equipment, but nothing seemed to work. Strange lights flashed, machines hummed, yet the queen's condition got worse by the second. It's the solar flare, someone shouted. The floating screens in the hall showed a massive burst of energy from Earth's sun. All quantum-based medical equipment is being disrupted. Do-hyun watched as panic spread through the alien medical teams. Their advanced technology, usually capable of fixing any problem, was useless. The queen was now lying on the stage, her breathing becoming more labored. He looked down at his simple medical bag. Inside was an epinephrine auto-injector, the same kind he had used hundreds of times for severe allergic reactions in humans. It wasn't fancy or high-tech. It was just a spring-loaded needle with life-saving medicine. I can help, he said quietly at first, then louder. I can help. The crowd parted as he moved forward. Jae-ho's security team formed a barrier around the queen, their crystalline armor glowing with warning lights. The head of security looked at Do-hyun with doubt in his silver eyes. You? With that primitive equipment? Jae-ho's voice was sharp. Our medical technology is thousands of years ahead of yours. And right now, none of it works, Do-hyun replied calmly, holding up his medical bag. Sometimes the simple way is the only way. On the stage, Queen Hae-nul's breathing became more strained. The blue color of her skin was deepening. Yuna looked from her useless advanced equipment to Do-hyun's simple medical bag, then to the queen's worsening condition. The next few seconds would change everything. The fate of an alien queen, and perhaps the relationship between Earth and the galaxy's most advanced civilization, now depended on a simple human first aid kit and a paramedic's basic training. Time seemed to slow down as Do-hyun stepped onto the stage. The queen's personal doctor, Yuna, moved closer to him, her eyes showing both worry and curiosity. The security chief, Jae-ho, stood tense but didn't stop him. Everyone in the great hall watched in silence. This is anaphylactic shock, Do-hyun explained as he knelt beside the queen. His voice was steady and professional, just as it had been during thousands of emergency calls. Her body is having a severe allergic reaction to something in Earth's atmosphere. He opened his medical bag and pulled out an epinephrine auto-injector. The alien medical team stared at the simple device with confusion. To them, it looked like nothing more than a plastic tube with a needle. That's your medical technology? Yuna asked, her voice filled with disbelief. It's just a needle with medicine. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones, Do-hyun replied. He looked at the queen's rapidly worsening condition. Her galaxy-like eyes were starting to close. This medicine will help her body fight the allergic reaction. The needle is spring-loaded and doesn't need any power to work. Jae-ho stepped forward, his crystalline armor gleaming. If you harm the queen with your primitive methods, the consequences will be severe. If we don't do anything, she will die, Do-hyun said firmly. I've done this procedure hundreds of times. Trust me. Queen Hae-nul made a weak sound of agreement. Even in her distressed state, She understood what was happening. She gave a small nod, granting permission. Do Hyun didn't waste any time. He quickly checked the queen's skin, looking for the best spot to give the injection. Her pearl-like skin was different from human skin, but he could see what looked like blood vessels underneath. This will feel like a small pinch, he said, speaking clearly so the translation devices could keep up. He pressed the auto-injector against the queen's outer thigh and pushed the button. There was a small click as the spring-loaded needle delivered the medicine. The whole room seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what would happen. For a few seconds, nothing changed. Then, gradually, the queen's breathing began to ease. The dark blue color of her skin slowly faded, returning to its natural pearl-white shade. Her galaxy-like eyes opened fully again. The medicine is called epinephrine, Do Hyun explained as he monitored the queen's condition. It helps reverse the allergic reaction by opening up the airways and improving blood flow. It's been used on Earth for over 100 years. Yuna watched in amazement as her medical scanners began working again, the solar flare's interference finally fading. The readings showed the queen's vital signs returning to normal. Such a simple solution, she said, shaking her head in wonder. All our advanced technology, and we never considered keeping basic, non-electronic medical tools as a backup. Queen Hae-Newell sat up slowly, supported by her medical team. When she spoke, her voice was slightly hoarse but clear. It seems we have much to learn from Earth's medical practices, she said, looking directly at Do Hyun. Sometimes the most elegant solution is also the simplest one. The tension in the room broke as applause erupted from both human and alien delegates. Do Hyun simply nodded respectfully and began packing up his medical bag, just as he did after any other emergency call. But he knew that this day would change everything. Not just for him, but for the relationship between Earth and the advanced civilizations of the galaxy. The conference hall had transformed into a makeshift medical center. Queen Hae-Newell now sat in a specially designed chair, surrounded by her medical team and security personnel. Do Hyun stood nearby, carefully explaining the contents of his medical kit to Dr. Yuna. "This is fascinating," Yuna said, holding up one of the sealed bandages. "Your medical supplies don't need power to work. They're completely independent of technology." She turned the bandage over in her hands, studying its simple design. Security Chief Jiho approached them, his crystalline armor now dimmed to a soft glow. His face showed a mixture of gratitude and embarrassment. "I must apologize for doubting your abilities," he said to Do Hyun. "Our training teaches us that less advanced civilizations cannot help in medical emergencies." Do Hyun nodded politely. "Every civilization has something valuable to teach others," he replied. "Today, we learned that sometimes having a backup plan is as important as having advanced technology." Queen Hae-Newell gestured for Do Hyun to approach. As he walked toward her, he noticed how her skin had fully returned to its beautiful pearl-white color. Her galaxy-like eyes were clear and alert again. "Your quick thinking saved my life," the Queen said. "But I am curious, why did none of our preliminary tests detect this possible reaction to Earth's atmosphere?" Dr. My-Sun Park, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "If I may explain," she said, bowing respectfully. "Earth's atmosphere is currently experiencing unusual changes due to the solar flare. The composition is slightly different from what your teams tested earlier." The Queen listened with interest. "And your simple medicine was able to counter these effects?" she asked Do Hyun. "Yes, Your Majesty," Do Hyun explained. "Epinephrine works by helping the body itself fight the allergic reaction. It doesn't try to change the environment or use complex technology. It just supports the body's natural responses." Security Chief Jiho suddenly received an alert on his communication device. "Your Majesty, the other delegates are concerned. They're requesting to continue the conference, but many are worried about similar reactions." The Queen stood up gracefully. "Then perhaps we should adjust our approach." She turned to Do Hyun and Dr. My-Sun. "Would you be willing to teach our medical teams about your emergency response methods? It seems we have become too dependent on our advanced technology. Do-hyun looked surprised. This was against all the protocols he had studied. Humans were supposed to learn from the aliens, not the other way around. But before he could respond, Dr. Yuna spoke up. "Your Majesty, I strongly support this idea," she said. "Today proved that we need multiple approaches to medical care. What if we combined our advanced knowledge with Earth's practical methods?" The Queen nodded in agreement. "It's decided then. We will adjust the conference schedule. Chief Jae-ho, please inform all delegates that we will begin with a session on Earth's emergency medical practices." As the news spread through the conference hall, Do-hyun noticed a change in how the alien delegates looked at him and the other human medical personnel. The looks of polite tolerance had been replaced with genuine respect and curiosity. My son touched his arm gently. "You know what this means, don't you?" she asked. "You've just changed how the entire galaxy views human medical practices." Do-hyun looked down at his simple medical bag, thinking about all the times it had helped him save lives on Earth. Now it would help save lives across the stars. Sometimes the biggest changes came from the smallest things. The main conference room had been rearranged. Instead of formal rows of seats facing a stage, the space now contained several circular teaching areas. Do-hyun stood in the center of one such area, surrounded by alien medical professionals from across the galaxy. "The key to emergency first aid is speed and simplicity," he explained, holding up various items from his medical kit. "Every second counts in an emergency, so we need tools that work quickly and reliably." Dr. Yuna stood beside him, translating some of the more complex medical terms that the automatic translators couldn't handle. She held up one of the epinephrine auto-injectors that had saved the Queen's life. "This device," she said, "seems primitive by our standards. Yet it has several advantages over our quantum medical tools. It cannot be disrupted by solar flares. It needs no power source. It cannot be hacked or reprogrammed. It simply works." The alien medical professionals leaned forward with interest. A doctor from a water-based civilization raised what looked like a tentacle. "But how do you know it will work on different species?" they asked through the translator. Do-hyun smiled. "That's an excellent question. We don't know for certain, and that's why we need to work together. We can combine your advanced knowledge of different species with our simple, reliable delivery methods." Queen Hae-Newell, who had insisted on participating in the training, spoke up. The sensation when the medicine was injected was strange but not painful. The effect was almost immediate. As Do-hyun continued his demonstration, my son moved through the room, distributing simple first aid kits to each alien delegate. The kits contained basic supplies, bandages, antiseptic wipes, and various emergency medications in auto-injectors. "These supplies might look basic," my son explained, "but they can save lives when advanced technology fails." Today proved that. In another part of the room, Chief Jae-ho was working with his security team to create new protocols. "We must integrate these Earth medical practices into our standard procedures," he said, his crystalline armor reflecting the room's lights. "No more relying solely on advanced technology." Do-hyun watched as alien hands, tentacles, and appendages of all kinds carefully practiced using the auto-injectors on special training pads. The sight filled him with a strange sense of pride. Here were beings from civilizations thousands of years more advanced than Earth, learning to use simple human medical tools. "Your methods are elegant," Yuna said quietly to Do-hyun. "We became so focused on advancing our technology that we forgot the importance of reliability and simplicity." The Queen moved from group to group, observing the training. Her galaxy-like eyes showed keen interest as she watched her empire's finest medical professionals learning these basic but essential skills. "Do-hyun," she called out suddenly, "would you be willing to help establish a permanent medical exchange program between Earth and the Stellar Empire? We need to ensure that this knowledge is preserved and shared." The room fell silent, waiting for his answer. Do-hyun looked around at the faces of beings from across the galaxy, all united in their desire to learn these simple but life-saving techniques. "It would be my honor," he replied, bowing respectfully. After all, the best medical care comes from combining the wisdom of all our civilizations. As evening approached on that historic day, the Global Conference Center took on a different atmosphere. The main hall had been transformed into a space for cultural exchange, where medical professionals from Earth and various alien civilizations shared their knowledge freely. Do-hyun sat at a round table with Queen Hae-Newell, Dr. Yuna, and several other alien medical experts. Before them lay an array of medical tools, both human and alien, arranged neatly for comparison and discussion. "Your medical practices reflect something unique about humans," Queen Hae-Newell said, carefully examining a simple stethoscope. "You have learned to work with limited resources in creative ways." Dr. Yuna picked up one of the auto-injectors and placed it next to her own advanced medical scanner. "Look at these two devices," she said. "Ours can diagnose 10,000 different conditions, but it needs constant power and maintenance. Yours does one thing perfectly, every time, without fail." Do-hyun nodded thoughtfully. "On Earth, we have a saying, 'The best tool is the one that works when you need it.'" He watched as my son demonstrated the proper way to apply a pressure bandage to a group of floating jellyfish-like beings from a distant water world. The Queen's galaxy-like eyes sparkled with interest. "Tell me, Do-hyun, how did humans develop such practical approaches to medicine?" "We had to," he explained. "For most of our history, we didn't have advanced technology. We learned to save lives with whatever we had available. This taught us to focus on what works rather than what's most advanced." Chief Ji-ho approached their table, his crystalline armor now adjusted to a comfortable evening mode. "The security teams have finished their basic first aid training," he reported. "They are particularly impressed with the simplicity of the tourniquet system." Around them, the conference hall buzzed with activity. Alien medical professionals practiced applying bandages, using pressure points, and administering basic medications. Some used their tentacles or multiple arms, adapting the human techniques to their unique bodies. "I have made a decision," Queen Hae-Newell announced suddenly. "The Stellar Empire will establish permanent medical training centers on Earth. Our people need to learn these basic skills alongside their advanced training." Yun-A's eyes widened. "Your Majesty, this is unprecedented. We've never established permanent facilities on a developing world before." The Queen smiled. "Perhaps that was our mistake. We assumed that advanced meant better. Today proved that sometimes the opposite is true." Do-hyun watched as an alien medical student successfully applied a simple splint to another alien's injured limb. The student's joy at mastering this basic skill was clearly visible, despite their completely different biology. "Your Majesty," Do-hyun said, "we would be honored to share our knowledge. But we also hope to learn from your advanced medical science." "That is exactly what I hope for," the Queen replied. "A true exchange of knowledge. Your simple solutions combined with our advanced technology could revolutionize medical care across the galaxy." As night fell over Seoul, the lights of alien ships still hovering above the conference center created a beautiful display in the sky. Inside, humans and aliens continued to work together, learning from each other, breaking down barriers that had existed for centuries. The universe, Do-hyun realized, was full of incredible advanced technology. But sometimes, the most powerful tools were the simplest ones, and the most valuable knowledge was the most basic. 1 week after the conference began, Do-hyun stood in a grand meeting room at the top of the Global Conference Center. Through the large windows, he could see the beautiful morning sky of Seoul, where alien ships still glided peacefully among Earth's clouds. Queen Hae-Newell sat at the head of a large table made of shimmering crystal. Around her were representatives from Earth's governments and medical organizations. Dr. Yuna and Chief Ji-ho stood nearby, their expressions showing pride and anticipation. "Today marks a historic moment," the Queen announced, her voice clear and strong. The Stellar Empire will establish the first interstellar medical exchange program, with Earth as our primary partner. The room erupted in polite applause. My son, who sat next to Do-hyun, squeezed his hand in excitement. On the table before them lay the official agreement documents, written in both Earth languages, and the shimmering script of the Stellar Empire. Our first action, the Queen continued, will be to build 5 medical exchange centers across Earth. These centers will combine Earth's practical medical knowledge with our advanced technology. Do-hyun listened as the Queen explained the details. Each center would have both human and alien medical staff. They would teach everything from basic first aid to the most advanced alien healing techniques. Most importantly, they would work to combine both approaches into something new. And to lead this program, Queen Hae-Newell said, turning to face Do-hyun, we have chosen the person who showed us the value of simple solutions. Do-hyun Kim will serve as the first human director of interstellar medical exchange. Do-hyun stood and bowed deeply. I am honored, Your Majesty, but I am just a paramedic. The Queen's galaxy-like eyes sparkled. You are the paramedic who saved my life with nothing more than basic first aid. You showed us that true medical wisdom isn't about having the most advanced technology. It's about knowing how to help people with whatever tools you have. Dr. Yuna stepped forward with a small box. Inside was a badge that seemed to be made of living light. This marks you as a certified medical practitioner of the Stellar Empire, she explained. You are the first human to receive this honor. As Do-hyun accepted the badge, Chief Jae-ho addressed the room. Already, 17 other alien civilizations have asked to join this program. They too want to learn Earth's practical medical techniques. The Queen nodded in satisfaction. This is more than just a medical program, she said. This is the beginning of a new era of cooperation between Earth and the galaxy. And it all started because a human paramedic carried a simple first aid kit. Do-hyun looked around the room at the faces of humans and aliens alike. Just 1 week ago, he had been a regular paramedic driving through the streets of Seoul. Now he was helping to bridge the gap between Earth and the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. We have much to learn from each other, he said simply. And together, we can save more lives across the universe. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows, making the Queen's pearl-white skin glow. Outside, the citizens of Seoul went about their daily lives, not yet knowing how much their world was about to change. Soon, the simple medical wisdom of Earth would spread to the stars, proving that sometimes the most powerful solutions were also the simplest ones. 1 month after the historic medical conference, Do-hyun stood on the observation deck of the first interstellar medical exchange center in Seoul. The building rose like a silver tree into the sky, its branches containing medical facilities that combined Earth's practical wisdom with alien technology. Through the large windows, he watched as human and alien medical students trained together in the courtyards below. Some practiced with traditional first aid kits, while others learned to use advanced alien healing devices. The sight filled him with pride. Quite a change from being a city paramedic, isn't it? My son asked, joining him at the window. She now served as the center's chief of emergency training, teaching Earth's emergency response techniques to medical professionals from across the galaxy. Do-hyun smiled, touching the living light badge that marked him as a medical practitioner of the Stellar Empire. Sometimes I still can't believe it all started with a simple auto-injector, he said. Dr. Yuna approached them, carrying what looked like a modified version of a human first aid kit. We finished testing the new hybrid medical kits, she announced. They combine your reliable Earth tools with our advanced technology. Even if the power fails, they still work. The new kits were being distributed to emergency responders across the galaxy. Each contained both human-style basic supplies and simplified versions of alien medical devices. They were already saving lives on 100 different worlds. Queen Hae-Newell sends her regards. Yuna continued. The medical exchange program has been more successful than anyone imagined. 23 alien civilizations have now joined the initiative. Chief Jae-ho, who had become a strong supporter of human medical practices, entered the observation deck. His crystalline armor now included a pocket specially designed to carry one of the new hybrid medical kits. "The latest reports are in," he said, his voice filled with satisfaction. "Emergency response success rates have improved by 40% across the stellar empire since we started using Earth's methods alongside our technology." Do-hyun remembered the day when he had been just another paramedic, driving through the streets of Seoul with his basic medical kit. Now those same basic tools and techniques were helping save lives across the stars. "We're opening 3 more exchange centers next month," my son said. "One in New York, one on Mars Colony, and one in the Stellar Empire's capital world. They want every medical professional in the galaxy to learn both approaches." Looking out at the Seoul skyline, where alien ships now regularly docked at the center's medical ports, Do-hyun thought about how much had changed. Earth was no longer seen as a developing world with primitive technology. Instead, it was respected across the galaxy for its practical wisdom and simple, reliable solutions. "You know what the Queen said last week?" Yuna asked. "She said that the day you saved her life with basic first aid changed the galaxy's entire approach to medical care. Sometimes the simplest moments have the biggest impact." As the sun set over Seoul, casting a golden light over the city and the alien ships above, Do-hyun reflected on the truth of those words. In a universe filled with incredible technology and advanced civilizations, it was a simple human first aid kit that had built a bridge between worlds. The future would bring many more challenges and discoveries, but one thing was certain: the practical wisdom of Earth would continue to spread among the stars, reminding everyone that sometimes the most powerful solutions were also the simplest ones.